Greetings, my fellow piece blunderers, and today we're discussing another mentality problem that may be costing you points on the regular. Today I'm keeping it short because I've released 2 long videos already in the past 2 days. By the way, go check them out. And let me start with this. Most of you guys watching are probably between 500 and 2000 range. I know that's quite a range, but still. And let's say you are, I don't know, 1400 and you play against another 1400, the opponent of your strength. And because you've probably played against dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of players of similar rating, you should be used to their sort of caliber of play. Of course, being 1400 yourself, you make mistakes, but you expect your opponent to make mistakes as well. That is why when your opponent makes a silly looking move at first glance, you look at the move and you're like, right, that's what they're going to screw up. That's a 1400 kind of mistake that I recognize. Then you make some sort of move that punishes that mistake, and then you realize that you've just been lured into a trap and you're now losing. And this is honestly the only reason chess traps work. We think the opponent screwed up and we don't pay attention and then we screw up. Let me show you example number 1 so that everyone surely understands what I'm talking about. We're playing from white's perspective and we go d4, knight f6, typical stuff. And then we play c4, also very typical stuff. And then we see e5, the so-called Budapest Gambit. I used to play this gambit a lot, by the way, not anymore. And this should be a first red flag. If the opponent plays a gambit, that means they are a tricky player and they're probably trying to set you up for a trap or just set a position where there are a lot of tactical complications. Anytime a gambit is played on a board, you pay extreme attention, 200%. To every of your moves. So we take the pawn is the main line and the best move. The knight goes to g4, attacking the e5 pawn. And now we defend it with bishop f4, knight c6, attacking the pawn twice, knight f3, defending the pawn twice, bishop b4 check. And now 2 moves are possible, knight c3 or knight d2. In the position that I want to show you, knight d2 has been played. Queen e7, attacking the pawn yet again, and that pawn is probably going to be lost anyway, so white decides to play a3, attacking the b4 bishop. And this where the underestimation of your opponent comes into play. Black plays knight g takes e5. And white thinks, well, what? Did they just blunder a bishop? I guess they did. I mean, they just left the bishop open to taking. I mean, okay, I guess I'll be playing a piece up. So we capture the bishop. And let's face it, up until a certain rating, people sometimes really do that. And most of you guys are playing these kind of people on a consistent basis, just blundering pieces. So we kind of expect them to do that. So when they do that, we don't pay extra attention to some subtle plans that they may be having. Your opponents probably blundered their bishop in 10 games in a row leading up to that, so I can understand if you overlooked this one. But this is a deadly trap, of course, because knight d3 delivers mate. This is an awesome example of a smothered mate that is quite unorthodox, where the knight delivers mate like this. King has no squares, and the knight cannot be captured by the pawn because it's pinned by the queen. How did this mate even happen? Well, we underestimated our opponent. We took the hanging bishop for granted, which we should never do. And yes, I agree, a lot of the time pieces will just be hanging because the opponent did just blunder them without any reason. But it doesn't stop us from taking just a couple of extra seconds to think, to analyze. Is there anything else behind this blunder? Now, if you think that this position was a bit too obvious for you, a bit too on the nose, you will never ever hang mate on 1, okay, that's fine. I will show you another one which is a bit more subtle. This is also from my personal experience, looking at it from black's perspective as black faces the king's gambit. e4, e5, f4. We get to king's gambit accepted, knight f3, all good, g5, all good, knight c3, also a fine move, not the best one, but it's also a nice theoretical idea. g4, knight e5, and now queen h4 check. At this point for black, the position is deceptively easy. It's very easy for black to just chill, relax, sit back and be like, well, I just delivered a check with the queen. The white's king is very suspicious. My pawns are great. I should be like better or winning. I'm gonna win like easy in the next two moves. You sure? Check the engine. The engine says it's plus 0.3 for white, i.e. white is slightly better if better. I mean, the position is equal. And if black keeps being reckless and keeps underestimating their opponent, thinking, oh, they just play some crazy stuff like I'm about to win easily, black will get what's coming to them. Now g3, blocking the check, and f takes g. And this is where black thinks, well, if I move that pawn, that is going to be discovered check, and the pawn is forking rook and the bishop. If that pawn gets captured, I can capture the rook. Like, my position is golden. And after facing queen takes g4, they're like, what the hell they're playing? I mean, it doesn't stop my threat. I play g2, I fork the rook and bishop, and I deliver check. And then when my queen gets captured, I take the rook and I get my queen back, and I'm up a rook. GG easy. Now queen h5, threatening all kinds of things, and black is in trouble. Black having completely neglected all of white's possible ideas, thinking, oh, just crazy. Black is the one who looks crazy now. What's their queen doing on h1? Completely irrelevant. The only move to defend f7 is knight h6, and now we play d4, expanding in the center as white and threatening the knight twice now because the bishop is attacking it along with the queen, and white is extremely winning with +3, +4, depending on what your engine says. Again, underestimating your opponent's plan, thinking they're crazy, thinking they're blundering, and you end up blundering instead. So yeah, folks, every time your opponent makes a blunder, think twice. Just take a little bit of extra time to think about whether there are any repercussions after you capture. And honestly, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given by a chess player who's much better than me, they told me, always assume that the opponent you're playing against is a GM or an engine that never makes mistakes. So when it seems they made a mistake, you actually don't believe it. And you start analyzing it, and you start thinking why they made this move. Sometimes the reasons behind that move might be much deeper than you think. So yeah, if it just so happened to find this video useful, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. I stream Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Find me on chess.com, join our Discord, all that good stuff. I will talk to you very soon, my favorite unintentional gambiteers. Love you guys. See ya in the next one.